On a more upbeat story, Matt Giovanniello is a 25-year-old native of Rockville Center. He's created an app that helps people with the effects of a stroke, dementia, autism, and other disorders. Matt joins me now to talk about his business, and I want to welcome him to Patch AM. Matt, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Jerry.
Well, I want to start with the name of the business and how this came about. Can you explain it to me a little bit?
Of course. So, in a sentence, Frenalytics is a web app that assists patients and students with a variety of different deficits, as you described, including stroke, dementia, TBI, autism, Down syndrome, and related intellectual disabilities. The original version started years ago after my grandmother had a really severe stroke during open heart surgery when I was in seventh grade. The name Frenalytics is something we created ourselves. Fren is Latinized for mind, and Alytics is the suffix of the word analytics. So put together, Frenalytics stands for analytics of the mind.
Well, seventh grade, you came up with this idea. So you weren't in high school even at that point. Well, no, you would have been in junior high. I guess you're, somewhere in the genius category, I guess, but your IQ must be off the charts. But I mean, honestly, though, to come up with something, to think that way at that age, that's pretty amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It was really meant to be something just to assist my grandmother. She was really struggling to relearn basic concepts that you and I have the luxury of knowing on a day-to-day basis, like familial relationships, conversational skills, letters and numbers, colors, shapes, and the like. And the therapists in these top hospitals in New York where she was being treated were trying to use flashcards to reteach these concepts.
Mhm.
And as somebody who was a student at the time, I was able to relate to the flashcards way more than she could as someone in her late 70s. And I hated flashcards as a student, and I could see that with the one good hand that she had, she would push them away and refuse therapy and be in a state that we called cognitively stagnant. So I knew something had to be done that was a little bit more atypical than the traditional therapy that was being given to her at the time. And so the original version of our program was in PowerPoint fashion. I didn't know how to code as a 12-year-old boy, but I knew how PowerPoint worked. And so I turned it into a game where the same concepts were being taught to her, but through examples that I knew she would be able to relate to. So, for example, Jerry, instead of a clip art image of a house or her pet dog, I showed real images of areas of her house and pictures of her dog, areas of her upbringing, family photos from vacation, and things that she would be able to recognize and relate to as a means of not only helping her stay engaged and interested, but being able to connect back to those concepts and learn them all the faster.
So has this been, is this something like approved by I don't know, the FDA? Are you getting approval from various, health organizations, doctors, organizations in that regard?
That's a great question. So while we don't need FDA clearance, it does draw upon two scientific intervention techniques. The first is called reminiscence therapy, and the second is called spaced retrieval. It's been established and researched for decades, albeit in a more provider to patient form, not so much through digital means. And that's what we're really trying to take and try and innovate on, because for decades, patients have had to deal with this one-way type of cognitive rehabilitation that may have not necessarily been best for them. Spaced retrieval is showing information on a regular basis to try and show particularly dementia patients, but those similar to my grandmother and other types of cognitively inflicted patients, information that will help them try and relearn concepts or become more familiarized with it by seeing it on a regular interval. And reminiscence therapy is trying to show things that are in an adjacent category through personalized examples and the like, to try and teach concepts that if you try and jump directly to those means, a patient who has a cognitive deficit might not be able to catch on to as easily as someone who's more neurotypical is. So we do draw from things that have been researched for decades. And we also hold a US patent, which is quite exciting to be able to even speak. It was something that as a student at Southside High School, we filed, and as a student at Boston College, we got the great news that it was awarded. So we have done many, many years of research to establish the efficacy of our software too.
You're saying with dementia, also, I guess, at least early onset Alzheimer's as well?
Absolutely, yes. Our tool is great for patients with a whole variety of different dementia diagnoses, including early onset dementia, Parkinson's disease, and later stage dementias as well.
Yeah, it's terrific what you're doing to help people. Are people how has it gotten out to the public? Are people aware? How do people find out about it? The patients, the families.
It has. So, in recent years, as a result of the COVID pandemic, we expanded into the world of education as well. And while it may seem like a different population of working with students with disabilities, they end up becoming an adjacent population to our elderly demographic because not only do they interact with our software the same way, but they have the same desires of being able to live an independent and meaningful life, just like older folks who have been hit with a cognitive disability that really impacts their day to day. And so, being able to expand our software into special education classrooms across the country. We're live in over 50 classrooms and healthcare organizations, including students at Malloy College who are using our software, classrooms on Long Island all the way out to California, and healthcare organizations even out east at Stony Brook Hospital, their cognitive unit. They are utilizing our software present day, and it's incredibly rewarding and really heartening to see the positive impacts that software can have on people and how it changes their lives for the better.
I saw that you were listed in the 30 under 30 from Long Island Business News. I forget what that's the official thing, but it's like for professionals, I guess.
I've been nominated, yes. I've been
Nominated.
nominated for
Okay.
Long Island Business News 30 under 30.
So that's got to be a big. I mean, again, as you're 25 years old and you're already the CEO and the co-founder of this business, so that's a pretty big deal for somebody of that age that you're moving forward with leaps and bounds. Do you have other ideas for your company? I don't know if you can talk about, but are there other plans?
We have lots of ideas, and it's amazing to work with such an incredible team to help me get here. I'm not a one-man show, however much it might seem like that some days or feel like that some days, but we have an incredible group of engineers and marketing people, all the way to the interns that join us on a summer and semester-long basis that have helped grow the company to where we are present day. And so, with all of their expertise and the research that I've done alongside my father and my business partner, Chris, who helped us grow the company also to where we are present day. We're looking at ways to expand our healthcare arm, grow even deeper into the world of K-12 education, even expand into university level so that students who are studying to become special education teachers and participating in master's programs can be exposed to our software from a really early level. Those are just a few of the areas that we're looking to really innovate and take an area that software hasn't really impacted yet and try and flip it on its head.
Well, and you're doing that even at your age and your abilities, and I think you're a role model for so many people. So, and again, what you're doing is great and helping. Just even if it's just a few people, it's terrific. So, I want to wish you well and continued success. And again, you're from RVC, so that's another plus for us.
Thank you, Jerry. Yes, it's an absolute pleasure to represent Long Island and represent my hometown of Rockville Center. Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Thank you. And give me the name of the place again. The CEO. Give me the company one more time.
Oh, sure. I'm the CEO of Frenalytics, Frenalytics.
And it's Matt Giovanniello. And
There you go.
I got it. Yes, I did it very rhythmic. That
It is not an easy last name to say or spell. It took me years when I was a kid to try and learn that for my library card. No easy feat.
Thanks again.
Thanks, Jerry.